Welcome back to Hall of Fame College Football with Jason and the coach. I'm your host, Jason Watkins. He's the coach, Philip Roybal. And if you love college football, you know you're in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the bell so you don't miss one moment of Hall of Fame college football. Coach, welcome back to the show. Good to
Great
see
to
you.
be here, man. Always.
Hey, man, it's always good to be talking ball. It's definitely talking season. Lots of shit to talk about. I mean, you've got, look, I know we hadn't really talked a whole bunch since last week when the House versus NCAA settlement came in.
Yeah.
Lots still, I think, to kind of uncover with that. I don't know that we have a whole lot of answers there in that. So we may jump into a little bit of that tonight, but we don't have to go too deep. I just kind of want to get some opinions of you and some of the other guys that might be jumping in with us. But we're probably going to have JJ coming in here for a little bit and Kobe from the Blitz City podcast as well. Hey, also we wanted to talk a little bit. You start looking around the country, coach, and I mean it's affected both of our programs that we obviously are fans of. Transfers in, transfers out, quarterback wise, and I wanted to kind of talk to the panel about who's going to make the biggest impact and really how big of an impact these guys are going to make all around the country. I mean, you've got guys, DJ Uyunglele, friend of the program. His dad's a friend of the program. He's at Florida State this year. Then you've got Cam Ward from Washington State, who is not a bum. He's at Miami. Then you've got, Malik Murphy at Duke. Now, I don't think a ton of Duke, but Malik Murphy, I do think a lot of. Really, really glad that that he's not at Texas anymore. Got to tell you.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey,
throw them all down right there. Then obviously talking a little bit about Will Howard, Ohio State. Not sure what I think about Will, but I mean, you want to talk about a guy that better have an impact. This is a program that, after Michigan won the national championship last year and beat Ohio State for the third straight year,
yeah,
you're gonna want something out of this team. Ross Bjork, who was the former AD at A&M, doesn't have any allegiance to Ryan Day, so seems like there's going to be a lot on the shoulders of Will Howard coming into it, right? Welcome into the show, everybody. Hankster, Mars Jams, Timothy Green. What's up, man? Thank you guys for coming into the show. We appreciate you. Glad to see everybody in here. Thanks everybody for coming out this morning and jumping in with me and Cody Light, talking a little trash back and forth on that one. That was good stuff. Brian Sandlin, good to see you, my friend. On your way from California to Oklahoma. Oh yeah, that's a long trip.
All right.
Long trip. So good to see you. Hey, glad you're back in here again. Keep your eyes on the wheel. No need to message. We'll talk to you anyway, though. There, Brian.
Well, it's hard to keep your eyes off of us, though.
Yeah,
he might struggle with that. No.
Yeah, well, look, probably not that hard to not look at me. You can just turn the sound on and let it go.
Likewise, brother. That's what they need to do. Just turn on the sound and hey, you're good.
5 minutes into work today, and I felt like I was at Blue Bayou, but hey, I'm here. Kyle DePuis, welcome back in. Thanks for coming in. Yeah, man, can't wait to have a normal schedule back. You looks like you're working late nights or something. Hey, yeah, make sure everybody wipe your feet as you come in. We appreciate everybody again coming in here. Share this the stream with your friends, people around, Twitter, wherever your social media are. Get those folks out here talking about this stuff. We're going to talk about that. Getting back to these quarterbacks. Also, Dylan Gabriel leaving Oklahoma. And the thing is I know a lot of people act like that was not a great thing for Oklahoma. I think there's a reason why Dylan probably left, because of the fact that Jackson was pushing for the job either way. I think whether or not you would have lost the job is kind of irrelevant. But what you don't want to do is lose that job, and this is your final year to make to get some film out there and possibly, go for a Heisman, go for a playoff berth, in the Big Ten, get a chance to play and make sure that you're the starter. They guaranteed it to him. They weren't going to do that at Oklahoma. But that also means that it's going to be important for Jackson Arnold to step up first year in the SEC for Oklahoma and make a splash. You have Riley Leonard, who, as Malik Murphy came in, Riley Leonard left from Mike Oko's Duke Blue Devil team. He's now with your Notre Dame Fighting Irish. You've got a really good-looking freshman, but you're hoping not to use him. Riley Leonard is that kind of guy that he looks like he can be big impact player. And I would argue that along with Will Howard and Cam Ward and DJU, you're talking about those are probably the guys that you're most dependent on. I mean, if you're talking about programs that at least have some buzz for the playoffs. I don't know how much I believe in Florida State. I don't know how much I believe in Miami because Miami just hadn't done it. Now there's talent there.
Absolutely.
But I just don't know what I think of it. I think that those two, the two guys down in Florida at Miami and at Florida State are certainly very important to their program's success this year. But I would say the same thing for Notre Dame, just because of the fact that, look, it's really the only piece you got left that you needed to kind of work out, right?
For the most part, yeah, Jason, I think so. And again, the big thing with Leonard Riley and listening to all the Notre Dame folks and they're kind of upset a little bit from the perspective of we brought in Riley Leonard. He didn't get to go through spring ball because he had to go in and have a second surgery done. And so people are a little concerned with that. And I am too. I mean, I got to tell you, I am of a mindset. If he's healthy, I think that we got an opportunity to be a really good football team. If he's not healthy, I still think we're going to be very competitive because we got three quarterbacks in the stable that are every bit as good, that can step in and go. They're different type players. But again, I think if Leonard can go, because, guys, his 2022 season, was that the big one he had? Where he rushed
he was good last year and the year before, but I mean, last year he had obviously some injury issues.
He got hurt. He got hurt in our game. Yeah. We put him out in our game, and it was not good. But you know what? He totally he is a good package because not only can he can throw the ball, but he can run the ball. So I guess
my question for you would be: are you kind of hoping that maybe he doesn't run it so much so because of the fact that he has got hurt like that, and then he's coming off that injury? You guys are, you've got a good offensive line to protect him. You got some good running backs that you've been known to, run the football downhill. I don't know. It's kind of the same way I feel about, when I start looking at. We were talking this morning about Big 12 teams and Kansas. I feel like Kansas can make a real run at the Big 12 championship, but only if Jalen Daniels is healthy. He hasn't been able to keep himself healthy because he puts himself in harm's way. Is that a concern you think around South Bend?
You know what? Here's my thoughts on that, Jason, and this just kind of goes back to my coaching days. When you've got a kid like Riley, the thing about it is he's got it's what am I looking for? It's his innate ability
to
play the game.
You don't mess with that.
And you don't mess with that. And so if you're going to tell him, you know what, we don't want you to run a lot because we want to protect you. And, I think you take some of his game away. And then now I think he begins to.
You had to let him get out of the pocket.
Yeah, hell, you may get hurt. Yeah, but it's a chance we got to take. And so I think they just need to let him be, Riley Leonard and be the quarterback he is. And help, he's got to pull it down, run it. So I think that's and like I said, for the first time in a long dang time, I'm not worried about if he goes down because we've got a plethora of quarterbacks, guys, that can go in and play. Now, yeah, we'll talk about, you got a freshman, you got another one that, I mean, you got the one Angeli that started in the bowl game and played pretty darn good.
He did.
But again, I don't think Angeli is the kind of guy that's going to take us to the promised land. I think Carr is, if there's one of those three that can take us to the promised land, it's going to be Carr.
Right.
Because the ball comes off his hand and he's incredible. But back to Riley.
That guy could spin it, man. That guy could spin it. I guess that would be the other question I had. Do you see a point where, let's say, I mean, whether or not it's an injury, I mean, it could be an injury. I mean, obviously you got to stay healthy during the season in order to stay in, and that's their best availability, or your best ability is availability. They always say that.
Right.
But do you think it's a situation, let's say he were to get hurt. Mm-hmm. Is Carr good enough to come in and never give the job back? Is he a Caleb Williams type of guy when it comes to talent like that, where he can, and I don't know that Caleb was as much, he could throw the hell out of it, but he was just an athlete, a special athlete.
Right.
I think with Carr, he's more of that guy that the dude can spin it. I mean, the ball comes off his hand a little bit different. Do you think it's a situation where he would come in, or would they go with Angeli first? Do you think they're trying to keep Carr for next season?
I think they are. I think they're trying to keep him for next season, but they're going to have to make a big decision if Riley goes down, because you know what? Do you want to? This is year 3 for Freeman, and it's kind of one of those deals where it's time to shit or get off the pot. Okay.
Yeah. Well, he's won 10 games the first 2 years, though, Coach. I mean,
he has, but you know what? That's kind of what we've been doing for a long time, Jason.
I get it.
I mean, hell,
with the playoff situation, I mean, you probably are not going to have a more favorable schedule for making the playoffs than you got today.
Right now, yes. We've got a easy schedule. I think, obviously the first ball game scares the hell out of me. Sure. But if we can get that W, we ought to be in pretty good shape to make the playoffs.
Yeah, you got SC, Clemson, obviously, like always, and then you got Florida State, which, I think that those are, and Louisville, again. But I mean, I don't know what I think.
They're all question marks to me. Those guys are. They're all question marks. And USC,
Louisville, there's another transfer quarterback, Tyler Shuck from Texas Tech, that has never made it throughout a full season either. But talent-wise, he appears to be that kind of guy that, look, and as much as, Coach, we both like, the coaching staff there at Louisville. I don't know that they're really all. I think that they lost some pieces that they needed. They did pretty well in the portal, but I think defensively they kind of hurt. They lost some guys that they probably needed to have. They've got a Kentucky problem anyway. I don't know how serious a threat they are. It's a game you should win.
Right.
But Tyler if he's in.
Oh, I agree. But I don't see them being as good as they were last year. I really don't. I think they'll be good. I think Jeff Brom does a hell of a job.
I think he's a hell of a coach.
He is a hell of a coach. But again, I'm just not. I don't. Like you said, they lost some key pieces, and I'm not sure unless they can really have somebody that steps up and replaces those guys.
Well, I don't think Satterfield had left him in very good position either. Brahman's kind of working with. He's still got another probably a year away from putting the team together that he wants.
I agree. There's no doubt. But going back to the quarterback scenario, this is just me personally. If I was coaching, I'm going with Carr. If I'm gonna go down the ball of fire, I'm gonna go with a guy that I think can get us to the dance, not one that can just kind of get us game to game to game. And
Well,
he's a game manager. He's a game manager. Not Carr, but Angeli is a game manager. He'll and he'll nickel and dime you. You're not going to see many deep balls, and Carr's going to make plays. He gets in, he gets out of the pocket, throws on the run well. He makes good decisions. So no, to me, he's the one to go with if something happens with Riley.
Well, do you feel like Denbrock is the kind of OC though that's going to let him kind of turn him loose a little bit, or do you think that, or do you feel like, because here's the thing, you probably have one of the best defenses in the country. You certainly have one of the best secondaries, and you're I mean, again, physicality is what I like the most about Notre Dame. So I feel like you don't have to have a Heisman quarterback to do well.
Here's what we got to have.
A lot of these games by
game management,
the game a little bit.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Here's where we get in a bind, and we all know this. How many years, year after year after year, when we play a big game, do we piss down our leg? And a lot of times, Hartman last year, God bless his heart, but he pissed down his leg in the big games. And we can't have that. And a game manager doesn't really win you those kinds of games. The big ball games are not won by game managers. The big ball games are won by guys that are going to throw that deep ball. Take a chance. You got to take chances in the big game.
Arm and
be aggressive. You got to be aggressive.
Yeah, I agree.
And a game manager doesn't.
I've never been a fan of guys that ain't got no stones. So I get you. I get you there. Yeah. Stink as cat. Thank you for the super chat. $20.
All right. Good job, brother.
Sooner Nation, he says, look, I think a lot of this is you're kind of in the same situation. And as you're talking about it, we've had a lot of conversations, Shotty and Coach Shai have been like, man, you sure that, that's not that you didn't want to keep Dillon Gabriel around, because of his experience. And I agree, experience wise. And I think he's going to do very well for what Oregon's doing. I think that,
I agree.
The way that they love to run the RPO stuff. I don't know that Oklahoma's going to do as much RPO as they have in the past. But and they're going to run I know they're going to run the ball downhill with this running back group that they have. I mean, you've got a superstar in the making coming in. He hadn't been there in spring, but Taylor Tatum is that guy. You've got and then you've got Hicks that looks like he's that guy, and we know that Sawchuk, when he's not banged up, is that guy. So to me, I feel like you're in a situation where, speaking of going after it, yes, could you see Jackson make some mistakes? I think you can, but I also think that you're going to see Jackson make some plays that you would never have seen from Dillon Gabriel. And I love Dillon Gabriel. I love the guy.
Yes, you do.
He's absolutely what you needed to have to take over in the time that he was there. I think Sooner fans should be indebted to him forever because of what he did. Right.
Right. And I'm going to say something, Jason. And y'all, I'm glad I'm here at my house and y'all can't stone me for this statement. But here's my thing. Dillon Gabriel, and I believed all last season, and we heard all the OU fans, Arnold, get Gabriel out, play Arnold. But here's what I'm going to say. If I'm Dillon Gabriel, or I'm coaching Dillon Gabriel, and he decides to go into the transfer portal, if I'm coaching him, I'm a little glad. If I'm Dillon Gabriel, I don't guess I wanted the challenge of taking on Arnold to seeing if it was going to be him or going to be me. So he took an easy way out of going someplace else. And I love Gabriel. I was super impressed with that kid. And I think we'll still be super impressed with what we see at Oregon. But we all know this. There's just that little fine line and fine edge of, is that the guy I want on the field when it's nut cutting time? And he went to
The Red
Oregon.
River says yes, but the Red River says yes.
Right. No, I get it.
And I think that with the talent they have, I think that he puts Oregon in a better position than he was going to put Oklahoma in.
Oh, right? I agree.
Here's the one thing I'll say. I get what you're saying, and I part of me agrees. Okay. The other part is this, though. Jeff Lebby was his guy.
Yeah.
He was with Jeff. He was with Jeff at UCF. Okay. He was going to go to UCLA and have a chance to play out there, and because of Lebby went there. He got shit on a lot. Dylan got shit on a lot.
Yeah, I agree.
We know Lebby got shit on a lot, and sometimes for good reason. I'm not, but if you're gonna have to have a new start anyway, I don't know that, and I'm not. This isn't anything against Seth Luttrell. I think Seth is proven that he's got a better track record as an offensive coordinator than Jeff does.
Sure,
he just does.
Yeah,
he's got a longer track record for sure.
Yeah,
but what I would say is that if you notice, it's like I said, when he left, he didn't exactly say thank you, love you. No. He said you held me accountable, and I'm better for it. He didn't say he loved it. He said, it was his way. It was almost his way of saying to kiss my ass.
Hey, Sucker might be president someday because that was as politically well said as he could say it.
Well, and again, look, every fan base has that group of people, and look, we've all been hard on him, but probably less us than a lot of folks. But he got blamed for a lot of shit that really wasn't his fault. It felt like, and I think at some point, maybe it's just hey, it's better. It's better this way. I'm sure he made a shit ton of money going to Oregon.
Absolutely.
And it's
he really likes Nike.
Hey, why not? Look, of everybody going into the Big Ten, with how many people that Michigan lost from their national championship team, do you really expect them to play for another one? No, probably not. I could see them maybe making the playoff, but the truth is it's Ohio State and it's Oregon that are really the big contenders.
They're the front runners,
Yeah. I don't think he hurt himself there. If he stays and competes with Jackson and loses the job, he's on the bench unless there's an injury. And you certainly don't help your draft stock unless you get that opportunity and you come in and you win it all or something, Right. But it would have put him in a tough position. I don't know that I'd necessarily blame him for leaving. I understand what you're saying. I think that the guys that you really want as your quarterback are the guys that are going to be like, hey, I don't give a fuck. He's going to have to beat me out of the job.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying. But
you make some great points.
He doesn't have the arm that J.A. has. He doesn't have the arm that J.A. has at all. So that's just my feeling.
But you made some great points, though. You really did, because I remember even sitting and looking at the chat room here, and damn, the season was going along. We're just blasting this shit out of Gabriel. And I'm like, golly, come on, guys.
Top 5 offense in the country.
Yeah. Hell, did he make a mistake here or there? But shit, don't they all?
I feel like a lot of it, I think that's probably why he didn't go with Lebby. First off, you don't want to go into a rebuilding situation. They're in a situation where they can win at Oregon. I don't blame him for not following Jeff.
Exactly.
But Jeff also I feel like Jeff put him in. The Kansas game he had 16 throws and Jason Bean had double that.
Yeah.
And they lose, one play. They lost by. Yeah. Essentially. And you didn't let him go out there and play. And it felt like he handcuffed him in the Okie Light game too. For as much as he let him go in the Texas game, he handcuffed him in other games. And you could tell that if you didn't, he's the kind of guy that you need to get him going early and get his confidence up. And if you don't, you're liable to have some issues. Once he threw that pick six in the Kansas game, he lost confidence in him. You got to be better than that if you're Jeff. Listen, as I said, it's hard to say too much about Jeff Lebby because the fact is, you look at the yards, the production, the points. More than not, they were good enough. But in these situations where you are in a tough one, he puckers a little bit, kind of like Sark does.
Yeah.
And I don't think that was right. I don't think that's Dylan's fault. I don't. I think that sometimes you got to show a quarterback when they make a mistake that, hey, I still trust you. Fuck it, let's go. You're gonna have to throw some of those for us to win.
You get them over there to the sideline. You coach them through the mistake, but then you come back with, you know what? We're going to be all right. We're going to get them. We're going to get them on the next one.
Yeah.
That one's in the rear view mirror. Let's look through the windshield and let's go. Because if all you do is ream their ass and you walk away, then like you said, they're going to lose confidence. They're not going to want to pull the trigger. They're going to be slow to do it, and that's when bad things happen. And it just the momentum just grows and builds, and everything becomes negative.
Well, it's kind of like you were saying with Riley Leonard a few minutes ago. I mean, you can't, if you try to make him be somebody he isn't, stick him in a pocket where he's better operating outside the pocket, even throwing the ball. If that's the kind of player he is, that's how. Look, Baker Mayfield has made a living of getting out of the pocket and working on his. I mean, he's not the fastest guy in the world. He's an athlete, but he can throw it, and he's better when he's not trying to see over that line. And the same thing with Dylan Gabriel. He would stick him in back there a lot at times, and you're like, why? Because he's a little dude. Here's the thing with Jackson, that's not the same. He's a big guy, 6'3", 6'4". He can run.
Yeah.
But that if you're late on a pass, Jackson can still get it out there. You couldn't afford to be late if you were Dylan. You couldn't.
No.
So there's things to me. I kind of, I'm glad you said what you said because I agree. I think that you want to go with the guy, young or not, and SEC. God, I know that the SEC is just too hard for anybody to win in. I understand. I hear it all the time. But
we've heard it forever.
He's a fucking 5-star for a reason. He was National Player of the Year in high school, not Arch Manning, for a reason. He's the guy. And guess what? You got another one of those cats waiting in the wings in Michael Hawkins. Let him go. Let him go. Because you're not going to win scared. One of the things, you brought it up a minute ago. You can't play that way. There's a coach that neither one of us liked. One thing that I liked about him in high school ball, he never went for the freaking tie at the end of the game, ever. He's going to go for 2, fake field goal, whatever the hell. He is not going to go for the tie. I love that kind of player. I love that kind of coach. I love that you trust your players like that. Let's go win it now.
Mm-hmm.
You got to decide we got to go win it now at some point.
Yeah.
So go do it.
Get her done.
But I agree. Yeah, DG was the guy that OU needed for the last 2 seasons.
Exactly.
Yes, I think that he was that bridge guy, and he's more than just a bridge guy. I think he may be in New York for the Heisman this year too. He may be, and Jackson may not be as a first-year guy, but I think that you need Jackson to have this year, no matter what ends up happening. If they go 8-4, or if they go 10-2, you need Jackson to get this experience under his belt.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I do feel like, Dylan Gabriel happened. OU from being absolutely. Listen, you needed him. You got 2 in the wings. Who's the second one? You say Casey Thompson stink? No, I like it. I honestly think that hold on real quick. Let me tell Kobe. Use All right. Yeah. The guy that moved back to Texas. What? Shut up, Sooner Cowboys. I actually look. I think that one thing I'll say about Casey is he can rip it too, man. He can rip it too. I think you could have worse guys as an emergency quarterback in that situation than Casey Thompson. He's got a lot of. We'll talk about experience. He's got a lot of experience. Now, some of it isn't great experience, but I also think he hasn't. Aside from look, his first year was Sark, and I think that they underachieved a lot. But there was some issues going on in that locker room from before. Although I don't know that that's I don't know. You know what I think about that. But they weren't good at Nebraska. And then he ended up at South Florida. So to me, it's not like he's had great situations aside from that 1 year with Sark. Oh, yes. Oh, okay. I got you. Yeah. You're right. And that's yeah, man. Look, I'm not worried about that. I'm saying, I'm talking about this year. I'm not talking about for, the years to come. But I do believe that, if something were to happen to Jackson, I'm not that worried about Michael Hawkins going in. The guy has the ability to make plays. He doesn't have a ton of experience, but honestly, at this level, neither does Jackson. And he's got speed that nobody else has. So you got an arm, you got some speed. I think you got some ability. And I think that he's picked up on it a lot. And he's been working with K1's dad. Real deal guys, and I agree with you. But I think Kevin Sperry, I think you're absolutely right. I think Kevin Sperry gets to wait his turn behind Michael Hawkins. But I like Kevin Sperry too. He's a stud. He's getting ready to go to Elite 11, isn't he? Are they out of Elite 11's already going on or something?
Yeah, I think they already had it. Did they already have it?
Yeah.
Because we had one of our quarterbacks, Deuce Knight, was there.
Yeah, I would tell you, Lucas, I agree with this. We talked about that. I mean, look, for not having, it's first off, he just doesn't have the arm to be late. They run a little different. Look, their offensive coordinator there, he's been pretty good everywhere he's been. And, he was a high school coach. He was the OC. I want to say he was the OC at UTSA for a while. But he's got a good reputation. And look what he's done. Look what he did with Bo Nix. He took him even to another level from where Dillingham had him.
Yeah.
I think that he's done a really good. I forget his name right now off the top of my head, but I like the guy. He's one of the up-and-comer guys. He's probably going to be a head coach before too long. But I do think that you're looking at a situation where you can't put Dylan in a situation where he has to wait. If it's a deep ball, tell him to get it out. You got to make it to where it doesn't take long for him to – it doesn't take a lot of timing. It's get it, hit that third step and get the ball out, period.
It's Will Stein.
Do that.
Is it Will Stein?
Yes, Will. Like Will Stein a lot too, man. He's done a really good job. And look, I like Kenny Dillingham as well. I think that he did. I think the reason that he's a head coach now is because of the fact that he's been a hell of an offensive coordinator at multiple stops. He's a young guy too, but I think Will has definitely shown that he's got chops when it comes to. I mean, look, Dan Lanning doesn't mess with him as far as the offense is concerned at all. So
two of the biggest coaching moves I think that happened this year. I know this is a little off topic, but as we're talking about Will Stein. But I think that one of the biggest moves and the reason I think they might end up having better success is Chip Kelly going to Ohio State. Guys, that's a tremendous move
Well, they've got a
Chip
group of
Kelly
guys
going in.
that can all play. I mean, they
Yeah.
got the kid in. What's the kid? Oh man, let's look at this real quick before I mess. You've got Air Nolan, who's a freshman. You've got another freshman. The kid that came in from Alabama. He was the number one guy, right? From this class.
Yeah, I believe.
It's Julian Sayin,
Yeah.
Air Nolan, and then you've got a red shirt, that Lincoln Keenholz guy. And then of course Devin Brown, and he's just a red shirt sophomore.
Right.
So I mean, they got a full room, but they're all young, aside from Will. But the thing about Will is I don't know, man. I don't trust the guy. I don't know that I believe that he's going to be that dude. We saw him, if Neilio was in here, he'd tell you he pissed down his leg all last year. Now he looked really good the year before when they won the Big 12. Max Duggan played probably the game of his life in the Big 12 championship game, and Will beat him. Now, when he got up against Alabama, he got his shit kicked in. But look, he had every opportunity to win the Texas game last year. Pissed down his leg. Every opportunity to win the Missouri game last year. Pissed down his leg.
Yeah.
Same thing, and look, to be honest with you, same thing with the Okie Light game. They gagged on that one. He was not the same dude. And they were trying to get his ass out of there from day one anyway. I mean, he was never that popular in Manhattan.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think that Chip is definitely a better play caller than he is probably. Here's the deal that I think really happened with UCLA. And then we found out that they're supposed to have to split their damn money with Cal that they got from the Big Ten, apparently. He probably said, fuck you, I'm out.
Yeah. Well, and I tell you what, I'm just because I made that statement, guys, don't misunderstand. I'm not a Chip Kelly fan whatsoever. But like Jason said, I think he's a good play caller. Guys, he is. Guys, go back and go back many years, and that's kind of where Oregon first started rolling.
Way ahead of his time at Oregon, man.
Absolutely. That's when they started rolling, because before him, they weren't worth a shit. And he kind of got them rolling, and
when he came in as offensive coordinator there. And I mean, and that he's the one that brought up Ryan Day. Ryan Day worked for him before he became OC for the 49ers. And then, of course, Urban hired him as offensive coordinator.
Ryan Day didn't take the coaching very well, because he ain't worth shit.
Well, Ryan Day can call plays with the best of them too, but he hasn't been able to figure out the rest of it. Right. And his little, I'm so not a fan after the way he acted about Lou Holtz last year. You really?
Oh, that was ridiculous. Yeah.
Insane. What did you expect Lou to say when they asked him? What did you expect him to say?
Yeah.
And they had been soft. They were still soft when they played Michigan. They were soft. That's why they lost.
Hell, they were soft when we played them. I mean, we weren't that good.
Y'all let them off
beat their ass. Exactly. Well, I'm going to tell you guys, that went back to coaching.
Before the stupid play at the end of the game, y'all let them off the hook.
Yeah. Well, number one, offensively, we quit handing the ball off to Estime, one of the best running backs in the friggin' country, and we quit giving him the ball. I mean, what the hell? Yeah. No. But anyway.
And they had a better defense than they've had in a long time. But in the end, they were still soft, man. And that's what Lou said. He said, they're soft. We're going to beat them. I don't think that he should have been wrong. He shouldn't have been wrong. No. I think that
we made him wrong.
A bunch of times that offensive coordinator was shit. It was, and that's not Freeman's fault. He tried to hire another guy. You know? Yeah, I don't know, man. All right, let's talk about. We haven't gotten these other guys in just yet. Let's see. Okay. Well,
make sure you wipe your feet.
Make sure you wipe your feet. Okay, no JJ, and looks like no Kobe either. Let's see. If Ohio State struggles, especially offensively, you can see Kirby Moore there next year. Kirby Moore, huh? Why do you think that? I don't think so.
I don't know that you see any of the coaches there next year if they don't.
He's talking about the offensive coordinator at.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Oh, but you're saying you see him there as the head coach?
Yeah. No, you're not. They're going to go defensive if they do that. In fact, I'll tell you who. If Notre Dame is good, and I know you're not going to want to hear this.
Oh, I know. I already know.
If Notre Dame does a good job this year and they're even on the precipice of it, they will immediately go get Freeman because he's a Ohio State guy. They will, and they can, if there's anybody that can pay him the way that Notre Dame can, and I don't know that Notre Dame would even try to stop it, but I would if I was Notre Dame.
They would.
But I'll say this, Ohio State can afford it too. They can afford it too.
Yeah. No, I agree.
That would be. I would think that would be their first choice, and I don't even know that. I think that the fact that you won 10 games in the first 2 years in a situation that Brian Kelly didn't leave you in the perfect situation, you still won 10 games the first 2 years. If they don't win 10 games this year, I'll be shocked.
No, we got to be. This year's got to be an 11-1.
Bring a hard-nosed defensive style, which you better have in the Big Ten. Yeah, I think you're.
No, I agree with you.
Rob, you guys like these? You love these freaking Mizzou coaches. 1 year, playing the worst freaking SEC schedule possible, and you guys are just sure that they're on their way to the Hall of Fame. I don't buy it. I got to tell you, I don't buy it.
I'm not so.
No, me neither. Yeah. Who can? There's nobody around here that can't wait for that, except for I don't know who else. I mean, in this crew, this audience, you're right. I agree. All right. So now you go to, I think one of the guys that Norvell's probably, I mean, you know, the fact that supposedly Alabama wanted Jay Norvell. I don't know that that's the truth, but supposedly he got himself a raise. I get it. I got to tell you, I don't think much of it. I had some guy in here this morning talking shit, telling me, "How dare you talk about FSU? You don't know nothing." Okay, well, whatever. You don't talk about them. I'll say whatever the hell I want.
Okay. You know, Jason.
Mike Norvell, I mean. Mike Norvell.
Yeah. But let's be honest here. Let's just reflect a little bit. If Alabama wanted Norvell, and you're Norvell, let me see. Florida State, Alabama. Florida State, Alabama. If you don't go to Alabama, you're a friggin' idiot. Between those two.
Okay, so yeah, the one caveat to that I would say is that that's about the hardest person you could possibly follow. Now,
and
if you're worth a shit though, if you are that guy that you say you are, and you don't go take that job, you're stupid. You're right. I'm going to tell you one thing.
So I don't think they really wanted him.
No, they didn't. And Sark admitted that they never offered him that job. They never offered it to Sark. He admitted that. He admitted that on, I want to say it was on with Keyshawn Johnson on his podcast. He admitted it. They didn't offer him the job. Dan Lanning acted like he turned down. They were on the plane to Washington immediately that afternoon. So you're telling me that Lanning told him no and Norvell told him no within hours of Saban announcing that he was out? Come on. Fuck out of here. It's bullshit. I don't buy it.
No.
I don't buy it.
Well, the timeline, you just did.
Dan Lanning's full of shit. Just so, yeah. I think the dudes, they've got him all way up the list. Look, we talked about this a lot the last few weeks, how they've talked about BV and not giving him any love. And Marcus, he wasn't on the list of on one and was like number 32 on another or 30 on another, the last guy. Well, you've got a guy who hasn't won shit at Oregon, and they've got every reason to win. They get the players they want. They have all the money they need. The facilities, all the whole 9 yards. There's nothing you can't do at Oregon. And he's 0-3 against Kalen DeBoer, who Washington does not have those things. They're not poor by any stretch, but they're not Oregon.
Nope.
He 0-3 against them. Mm-hmm. He's lost.
That's why they didn't offer
Oregon State as well. He lost to Smith and Oregon State before DJU got there. So
that's why he didn't get offered the job.
He damn right. The idea that I've seen him up as like second and third on the list of coaches in the country of the best coaches in America. He's in the top 5. Get the fuck out of here. That's worse than Sark being that. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. What has he done? He played in a shitty Pac-12 and hasn't won it yet. They better do something this year because it's just them in Ohio State, if you think about it. I don't buy Franklin and Penn State. You know that at the very best, USC's a year away. At the best. And you know how I feel about that. Washington lost everything when they lost Kalen DeBoer. They've got a good coach. How long they have him is remains to be seen. But that team got gutted. Who the hell is going to stand up to Ohio State aside from, look, I think Sherrone Moore in Michigan, they still have, the pipeline there. They're doing things the same way that Harbaugh was doing them. I just think they lost too much for them to really compete this year. So it's with everybody you got, and now you got your quarterback, you've got defensive guys. Look, Uyunglele, look, that's one of the best defensive ends in the country as a young kid. He's going to show out that he was showing out at the end of last year. Defensively, they look really good. You better go fucking win now, Dan. What else you got? It's all open for you to go get there and go deep in the playoff. They played Georgia in his first game and got blown out of the fucking building. I guess you can say whatever you want, but it's not like it was an empty cupboard there at Oregon in his first year. And they got beat by 50. I'm not sold on the Cat, man. I'm not sold on the Cat. Yeah, you're right.
I second you. I second that.
Yeah. No, and see, okay. No reason to leave Texas or Oregon, but they didn't get offered the job. Sark admitted that he didn't get offered that job. Now, would I leave Texas if I'm Sark? Probably not, because of the fact that they love you and you have built what you built. If you believe in what you are doing there, you're not going to go anywhere that's got more resources, including Alabama. Alabama has resources. There's few schools around that have the resources that Texas has. There's probably Notre Dame. maybe shit, A&M kind of. But I mean, who else? Who's got resources like that? Ohio State? Yeah, maybe. As far as money's concerned, Oregon's got all the resources you need. Absolutely. So there's not a lot of SC, I would say SC, except that they don't seem to want to pay anything to some of these guys to get them. If you're not Caleb Williams, anyway. They definitely use the leverage. But what I'm getting at is that don't tell me that Mike Norvell's that guy. Somebody said he's the best coach in the country the other day. I was, get the fuck out of here. What are you talking about?
Norvell?
Yeah. And I like Mike Norvell. I think he's a decent coach. I don't think he's that guy.
He's not the best in the country.
Fuck no. He didn't even recruit that well out of high school.
If you're the best in the country, you're winning a lot of ball games. I mean, a lot, like titles and shit.
Well, look, and I mean, I think that here's my thing is that when you don't show up for that, you can't keep those guys around for the Orange Bowl. Don't tell me how great your culture is, bro. Because Kirby kept enough guys around to beat your ass by 60. And if you win that game, or you know what, even if you play competitive in that game, coach, then you can keep bitching. Then you can keep bitching about them keeping you out of the playoff. When you go out there and roll over and whimper and get beat by 60, shut up. Stop talking.
Yeah, they weren't just whimpering, they were out and out crying.
Dude, and it hasn't stopped. It hasn't stopped. I'm serious. That guy this morning on the live, he came in on the attack at me. I was laughing. I was like, first off, I'll say whatever the fuck I want on my own channel. I don't give a fuck if you like it. You know. But and look, and you know this, Coach, we're close with Big Dave. Love DJ.
Sure.
I think that DJ gets a bad rap.
Yeah.
He had a bad spring game. Whooped his shit. He had a good year at Oregon State last year.
Yeah, he did.
He had a good year. Is he super accurate? No. He's got a bigger arm than most guys, and he's a big dude. He's the kind, and he can read a defense, unlike a lot of quarterbacks in this country.
He can.
I think he's better than Jordan Travis. I still don't know that that's going to be enough. Yeah, and Stink, you're not wrong. Hell, whoa. I just lost my camera.
Yeah,
I lost my
camera.
I got some weird shit going on here tonight.
Dude, yeah, I think you got a ghost or something in there.
Yeah, I'm going to pop out. I'll pop right back in. You can talk for a second.
All right. Oh, yeah, Jason's been having issues with his video stuff all day today. But, yeah, you know, Norvell, he just got to prove it up from my perspective. He hadn't done that yet, and crying and whining last year. And you know what? I agreed that, you know, Jason and I disagreed on this, but, you know, I was kind of pissed off that they weren't tabbed to go into the playoffs. And
I understand that part of being upset about it. I get that.
I defended that. But at the end of the day, you know what? Like you said, you talked about all these things of why they should have gone ahead and let you into the playoffs, the culture, he was going on and on about all kinds of stuff. But at the end of the day, like you said, Jason, he didn't hold the glue didn't hold, and got his ass throttled. I mean, that spoke for itself.
We had this conversation on Ty Show last Monday. So on Around the Table Sports, and he had Coach Coach Sean, and then Coach Smook was on there, and then you had one of our guys. He's cool. He played Division I ball. His name is Jake Merrill. He actually played at Washington, I think. Jake Merrill. We were all on. I mean, there were 7 of us, and it got brought up about that, and Jay kind of took up for, well, you know, those guys all stayed to go for a natty, and then they didn't get their shot. So I kind of understand why they didn't do it. Fuck that. No. Again, I've always said, what do you think Bobby Bowden is flipping over in his grave that they didn't give a shit about playing in the Orange Bowl?
Mm-hmm. I hear you.
All those years that he could have went to the SEC, he was like, no. We're going to get to the Orange Bowl here because we're going to win our conference. Why would we do that?
Yeah.
He pissed a lot of people off in the SEC for that.
Sure.
But, I mean, I have nothing but respect for Coach Bowden. I have nothing but respect for the guys that played in that program. And I still respect the guys that played in that program. What the problem that I have is that you're acting like you're up here on this level, this blue blood status or whatever, when you're not. You know, Jimbo caught a freaking lucky star and won that national championship. They should have won the second one with Jameis and blew it. And then what did he do? He drove the program into the ground. You know, the program, and Bobby built that thing from nothing.
Hey,
nothing. You know, I know Bobby Butler that played. He was his first All-American corner. You know, I've gotten an opportunity to talk to him on a number of occasions. I mean, how can you not respect the guy? I mean, look, I think about Charlie Ward. I think about there was some really good football players that played.
Some great ones
at Florida State back in Bobby Bowden's day. Unbelievable.
Bobby Ball.
But I tell you, that's not what this, I mean, you know, that's not the culture that they have there. I think that if you can't figure out, and if you're using the portal that heavy, okay. But that's where you're going to suffer with your culture. Coach, you know this. I mean, how hard was it to go? Let's think about Skyline. They hadn't won in forever. They hadn't beaten Dallas Carter in how long? 30 freaking years?
32 years. Yeah.
What did it take to, I mean, you know, would you have, I mean, look, if we, you know, we lose a game. So, you know, we're going to, you know, all of a sudden we're not going to be the number 1 seed. So guys are walking out. That's not the culture that you're building.
No. And it's, you know, and we talk so much about culture, and it is very important. I mean, it's culture. That's what your team makeup is. But when you have a program where it's continually lost and not being able to
be your brothers,
exactly, and that's what you got. They've got to buy into your program. You got to be able to be a salesman and sell that program to them. They've got to understand that we're a brotherhood. And you know what? If you let me down, you're letting this guy down, and you're letting that guy down. So again, it's hard to do those things. And Bobby Bowden was one of the greatest at doing that.
Oh yeah,
he came in.
They played for him. They played for him. They loved him. They played for their brothers. Those guys. I mean, look, you talk about those old school guys. I see Bobby go on Florida State stuff all the time. I mean, the guy's been retired for a long time. He played for the Falcons for all those years, played with Coach Prime. Those guys are all still buddies, you know, and it's a big deal. It's a lot like Oklahoma, a lot like Notre Dame. I mean, it's a family when you're done.
It's a family. It's a brotherhood for life.
Right. So you're going to walk out on your brothers? That's the guys that you don't go get those guys. And I think, Timothy, you're right. You know, I'm about ready to F and pass out. When will all this come to a head? Listen, I get it. It's them talking about it. They want everybody to believe that, yes, I get, and I'm not even saying they didn't get screwed, because they did. So did Georgia. If you want to really talk about it, I mean, hell, Georgia, I mean, they shouldn't have lost to Alabama. They shouldn't have. But they took it the right way. They had some guys but I almost want to say that some of those guys that didn't play in that Orange Bowl, I don't think Kirby probably wanted them to play in it. He wanted to get some work for some of those other guys, the guys that he knew he was going to have to depend on next year.
They got plenty of it.
Shit. That's the thing. It's like, it's not like he, hell. Did you see Carson Beck opting out of the game? No. You know what I mean? Come on, man. And I get it. You don't want to get hurt, whatever. I don't buy all that shit. I don't buy, and that's who you're recruiting. If you're recruiting guys that it's only about the money to them, or it's only about whatever the hell that you sold them on, then you didn't sell them on the right thing, because they weren't there for their brothers too. And to me, as an NFL, if I'm an NFL guy, I want to know why you didn't play in the Orange Bowl.
Yeah. What the hell kept you from
against
playing?
Georgia, the two-time defending champions that had lost one game in 30.
Yeah.
To
exactly.
The goal. You got an opportunity to prove that they screwed you, and you don't even put up a fight.
Yeah. Crazy.
Dakota says Oklahoma goes 10-2 this year. I'm with you. There you go. 100%. Dakota.
Hey, you missed? Did you miss the part where? Did you miss the part where Shotty told you needed to get some quarters so your machine would work?
I knew that was coming. As soon as I saw Shotty, I knew that shit was coming. There's something's going on with this. The whole computer. I couldn't even get the other thing going there. Hey, Neelio, I knew you'd be in here sooner than later.
All right, man.
Good evening, Mr. Jason and Mr. Coach. Welcome to the show there, Neil. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for the super chat. Welcome. Man, we've got...
Up your feet, guys.
Yep. Thank you guys all for coming in. We appreciate everybody being in here. Want to take a moment to shout out our partners at Hall of Fame College Football, Mint Mobile. Look, guys, not only can you get the first 3 months of service on the nation's largest 5G network at Mint Mobile for $45, which is $15 a month. But if you act now and log on to trymintmobile.com/HOF, you can also get the next 6 months of Paramount Plus Essential Plan for free. So with your unlimited data, you can watch one of the most famous shows out there, Yellowstone, on your Paramount Plus. Compliments of Mint Mobile. There's also, look, for anybody that over the age of 55, they even have better deals, family plans. If you buy a phone, if you already have a phone, you don't need to, but if you buy a phone through them, you get 6 months of service for free as well. Try it out. Go in there and look. Try mintmobile.com/HOF. You're not sure that it's going to work as well as your big wireless carrier that's costing you hundreds of dollars a month. Try it out at the same time that you keep the other one, and you get it for 3 months, $15. Not a big deal. Great stuff. It'll be awesome. You can thank me later about it. Just go check it out, and we'll go from there. Also, it's summertime. It's time to play some golf. Make sure you log on to Melreg Performance Golf Apparel. It's melreg.com/JW_HOF. Performance, style, and amazing prices. Great polo shirts, great shorts. They're, that stretchy, great stuff that, it looks really good.
Yeah.
No wrinkles. But, it feels like we're in basketball shorts, but they're golf shorts. They look unbelievably good. You also get SPF 30 with all that stuff as well. You can always go to our official show merchandise, hofmedia.us/pod-merch, and get the I Don't Give a Shit t-shirt from Coach, or a Texas Sucks hat, or the old horns down.
Or all of the above.
All the above. Check it all out in there. The free way to support the program is just hit the like button, guys. Share us with your friends. As Jay always tells you guys, sharing is caring. Oklahoma will be the dark horse in the SEC this year. Yeah, I
agree.
I agree. I would agree as well. Thank you, Rob. And I do talk a lot of shit about Mizzou, but some of the fans. You're not one of those fans, but there's a lot of fans from over there that are not as cool as you, man. I'll just put it to you that way.
Yeah.
I appreciate you here, and thank you so much for that. We appreciate having you on the show. You've been nothing but good to us, and you even take the shit that we say. We talk shit all day long, and we appreciate the fact that you can handle it and not lose your mind. So it's pretty good stuff. Coach, question for you from Timothy. How many games does Notre Dame win?
Well, I tell you what, if we weren't win the first one, I think we could be 11-1, could be 12-0 if we win the first one. If we don't win that first one, we could be looking at a 10-2. And
so you're thinking
that would not be a good year.
Maybe who else would beat you? Florida State, possibly Clemson.
It'd have to be Clemson or Florida State. And again, we've been talking Florida State. I'm not sold on that at this point. Right. Clemson, we'll see. We'll see how Clemson fares. They've kind of been sitting back, not using the portal to their best advantage, and so I don't know that that's not slowly setting them backwards. But yeah, I think that those are the three teams that I'm worried about.
Yeah, I agree. I think that.
But the first one's huge.
I think the first one's big, but I don't think that it kills you if you lose it, because again,
No.
I think you still have some games that you can prove. Look, you go 10-2, you're in. You go 10-2, you're in. I wouldn't be. I mean, I don't think 9-3 gets you in from where you are, but I think 10-2 gets you there.
But it's not in a good. It's not in a good place.
You're not going to get. I don't think you get a bye either way, because of the fact that you're not in a conference. They're not going to give you a bye. I don't think you get that if you go undefeated. That's why they're pushing. That's how they're pushing to get you into a conference. That's because they're going to do that. If you go 12-0, you cannot tell me that you don't deserve to have a bye week. But they're not going to give it to them, because they do want them in one of those conferences. And this is the SEC and the Big Ten. Yeah. The Big Ten especially, but the SEC, they all want – who doesn't want – I mean, if you're ESPN or Fox, that's a cash cow. Yeah. It's a ratings machine, Notre Dame is. So –
well, we're good at ratings. Now we just need to win some damn football games.
Yeah. I think they probably go 11-1 too. I'm with Dakota here, and with what you just said. I think even if they lose that first game, I feel like there's no reason they shouldn't be able to beat Florida State. I'm not saying they will, but I think 10-2 is probably the floor.
Mm-hmm. I do too.
I don't see you losing to both Clemson and Florida State. And if you lose to Louisville again, I think that maybe if you were to lose those two games, Marcus he's not going to get fired, but it wouldn't be a comfortable seat anymore.
It won't be very comfortable. Exactly.
Right.
It won't be very comfortable. I tell you what, and we talked about it a little bit earlier, but I don't see Louisville being the team that they were last year. They lost some really good talent.
Well, you got to expect that Tyler Shuck stays healthy, and that would be expecting something that's never happened. And this is his 7th year in college football.
But I agree with that. But the good thing about it is we have a great secondary intact. Agreed. Coming back that will help neutralize that. And like you said, defensively, we're going to be as good as we probably have been, and we've been pretty darn good.
Should be top 10 in the country, top 5 even.
I think we can be a top 5 in the country defensively.
I do too. And particularly, again, I don't think that, look, I think that you do go up against a couple of quarterbacks that are big time. I think, again, DJU's not going to blow you away 70%, but he can hit that. He can hit the pass that'll kill your ass and break your back. He can definitely do that. He can hurt you in the run game a little bit. They are going to have some receivers. Now, they're not going to have the guys that Jordan Travis had, just like Shotty said. When you start looking at the guys that, I mean, Keon Coleman was a freaking animal. An animal. Good grief, that guy was good. They don't have that guy there now. They've got some guys that they've brought in. I think that they've done a good job as far as their offensive line. I agree that that's the one place they have brought them in through the portal. A lot of the guys that have got 2, 3, and 4 years, though, and they've developed pretty well on the line. They're going to keep him upright, I think. But I don't know defensively what they look like. And if you have to have them, I mean, look, I don't know that the offense is ever going to be, because I don't know that I like Mike Norvell's offense, but I don't think I'm not going to sit here and call it Jeff Brom's offense even. No. I don't think it's that. I don't think it's definitely not like a Lincoln Riley or Jeff Lebby. He's just not that dude. Oh. I think he's good. I just don't think, I don't know, man. There's something missing there. There's something missing there.
I agree. And quarterback-wise, we've seen him before. I mean, when he was at Clemson, he never had really just a.
Well, they didn't have receivers there for him either. Again, I'm gonna sit here and I'll die on the hill for DJU, because I feel like if you put the guys around him that the guy in front of him had, well, I mean, he broke the record against the Notre Dame team in South Bend. 400 and something passing yards. I mean, he had that one. Yeah. Right? Yeah. The next year when they didn't have those dudes.
Then,
And they blamed it on. And look, Cade Klubnik was the number one quarterback coming out, and he ain't doing shit yet either. And he's got little Lincoln there.
Yeah, that's correct.
Something's not right at Clemson. He went, I mean, again, he had a pretty good year. He had a pretty good year at Oregon State, and Oregon State isn't the type of offense that's going to be. Yeah, he did, but they're going to run the ball first, which is probably good for you if you're DJU, but it's not an explosive offense that he was going to put up numbers like Michael Penix or Bo Nix or even Caleb Williams, those guys over there. It wasn't going to happen. That's not the kind of offense they ran there. Can they do it at Florida State? Possibly, but I don't think that he's got the guys around him that they had with Jordan Travis. And I just think it's a lot to ask for any quarterback to go in there and do all of that for you. I think it's a lot to ask. And what I worry about is Florida State going to turn on DJU if he doesn't deliver a natty?
Yeah.
If they don't go 11-1. And go to the playoffs.
And I can tell you, it's not going to be all his fault if that does happen.
No, it's not. No. Yeah. Oh man, absolutely.
Yeah. No, I agree, but and I don't know if that's to the statement I made earlier, but when you've been winning 10, and then even in the games, the bowl games you get in, you get your ass kicked because you're just not good enough. The 10 games, and again, guys, we've played some schedules that have been weak, and winning 10 games, but we got to win 10 plus games, and we got to beat the people, the Ohio States, those people. We got to be able to beat those people. And that's what I was talking about, because hell, winning 10 games, it's tough to do in college football.
Yeah, but
at the end of the day, we need to be in the league.
A legacy program, not like but we're and not to bash on Mizzou here in this instance, but it's the difference between Oklahoma and Missouri. Oklahoma, 10 games isn't enough. If you get 10 games and you get in the playoff, and then you are able to go and win it or get close, fine. But national championships are what you're measured by at these programs. And that includes places like Florida State. That certainly includes places like Alabama and Georgia and LSU for that matter. And whether or not they want to admit it, it damn sure is that way at Texas too. And that includes, and look, SC and Notre Dame are in that boat. They're the two of the most, look, Notre Dame was the program for 60 damn years. At least. Notre Dame, I mean, shit. Newt Rockne. I mean, hell, everybody knows the story of Notre Dame. Everybody. That's the difference. And when you look, there's levels to this shit. There's no two ways around it. There's levels to this shit.
Yeah.
If you're a Notre Dame fan, you want a natty. It's time to win another one. It's been since the 80s since you got one.
88.
Oklahoma's been since 2000, and it feels like way longer. It's eternity. Not okay.
Yeah.
It's an eternity. And when you've been quote unquote close, I would tell you that they weren't that fucking close. The Big 12 wasn't good. It was the most irrelevant time for Texas, and Texas is irrelevant a lot. Aside from the time when Mac was there, they hadn't been relevant more times than not. But when you've got the ability to be good and they weren't, and they look, yes, they went through, they won 6 in a row. Good. You should, because no more Nebraska, no more A&M, no more Missouri, no more Colorado. You know, look, I'm sorry for any Baylor fans that might be hanging around in here. It's Baylor. Sorry. It's Okie Light. I know they love to tell everybody that they've won more games in the Big 12 than anybody but Oklahoma over the last 10 years. Whoopty shit. You know, K-State, until, I mean, they've been a hell of a program since Coach Snyder. Yeah. You know, I've got nothing but respect for K-State. Nothing but respect for them.
And brother.
You know, Kansas has been shitty, though. Texas Tech has never really, I mean, after Leach left, and they were always kind of flirting with it, but they never really got it done either.
And a little secret, they're not going to either.
Yeah. No. Here's the thing about Tech. Everybody was saying a lot of good things. I think that Baron Morton is good. I don't know that he's better than Tyler Shuck, but Tyler Shuck isn't available, so that doesn't really matter, right?
Right.
I like Baron. He's had some issues with injuries. They got that kid that really showed out at the Elite 11 last year from where the hell is he from? He's down there in one of the little small towns in Texas.
Yeah.
He had like a 10 touchdown game or something like that last year in high school, though. But yeah. Great player. Looks like he's going to be good. They were able to get that stud receiver that everybody thought was going to Texas. He's recruited, but they haven't done shit. They gave him the money to improve the facilities. They haven't done shit. Were they just a year behind? The expectations were that they were going to contend for it last year. They were a dark horse. They spit the bit. They lost to freaking Wyoming.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they didn't. It wasn't a good year. But I'm telling you, I think that the honeymoon is about over for Joey McGuire in Lubbock.
Yeah.
And I like Joey.
Oh, I do too. I thought he was going to turn that thing around, but he's got
Tech, that's the question. Can you win at Tech? Why? Tell me why. Give me the word. Just say it. I knew it. It's a basketball school, he says. It's a basketball school.
Hoop. We want to win at hoops. It only takes 5 guys, and it doesn't cost very much.
Can't use us in any comparison like that. We just and won't ever have resources to seriously compete for national. I don't know, man. I think that you have the type of coach in Coach Kleinman that he's going to keep putting you in position. I think it would be great if you did have that one guy that could, open up the, Sam Waltons of the world or something that could open up the kitty and pay. Do whatever you got to do. Look, I don't know what's going to happen, and we can talk a little bit about this stuff with the truth is the House versus NCAA stuff. The settlement, there's still a lot to get through on that. One of the things that I did see earlier is that it still seems really shitty for non-Power 5 schools. They're going to pay 60% of that 2.7 billion that's going to old players. That's insane. While the Big Ten is, it's going to be, their payment is going to be about 2.5% of their annual revenue for the 10 years. If you're a Big Ten school, and I'm going to say the SEC as well. That's crazy shit. But we really don't know what's going to happen. And the truth is, there's still a number of lawsuits that are out there that could throw this thing for a loop. What we saw I was on Bomber's show and Wild You these, and again, I'll tell you guys, if you want to know what's going on with realignment and the money side of it, they do deep dives in that stuff. They are the best there is at realignment stuff, period, point blank. They dive deeper than anybody else. The Big 12 Mafia, the College Football Mafia show, Bomber, Wild Ute, Immaculate, Moen, those guys, and they've got a number of other guys now too, but they're them when it comes to that shit, period. They have the best guests that know the most about it. I'd say Greg Flugauer is another guy that seems to have his finger on the pulse of all that stuff too. But I'll tell you, I don't know that this really changes a whole lot, Coach. The 20 million seems right. If it's going to be all the same, but then the NIL is not going anywhere. Mm-mm. And everything that Sankey, I don't know how many people watched what Greg Sankey said in his little speech that he gave in Destin at the meetings, at the SEC meetings. He didn't say much. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see.
No, it didn't say anything.
He really didn't. Or you could say he didn't say anything, but he said a lot, because the truth is, what he did say was that there's an opportunity here for them to make some major changes to college football, go in a certain direction. It almost sounded like to me like the NCAA is not going to fucking be around here much longer. And I heard on 365 Sports yesterday, Tim Brando said yesterday or the day before that 24 months the NCAA is out.
I agree.
The NIL is still going to be there. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not going to that it's not going to settle down this transfer portal stuff. I think that there's some things that still have to get ironed out with that. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know everything, because I don't, and I don't think anybody knows, because they're just not really saying anything. The NCAA is definitely toast, Jimmy. I agree. Bishop Frank, welcome into the show, man. Good to see you.
Bishop!
Yeah. You know what? Somebody said something about I'll get to this in a minute. I'm going to start this and come back. But what I'll tell you is that I think that even Sankey, what I could tell from Sankey, and I think I've heard this, I read some of it from the Athletic coming out of the Big Ten too. There's a balancing act that you have to do. You cannot cut off half or more than half the schools in FBS and expect the country to be okay with it and continue to watch your shit and pay for it. They're not going to do it. They're not. And first of all, and the other thing is yes, do I think that they want the lion's share of the money to themselves? Yes, they do. Do they generate the most money? Yes, they do. That doesn't, but I also would tell you is that neither one of those guys, Tony Petitti or Greg Sankey, wants to be the guy holding the head of college football, the dead head on the spit. They don't want to be the guy. They don't want to be the guy that's responsible for college football not or failing here. They don't. I think that there's ways around it, but I do think that there's going to be some self-correcting too. Right now, from what something that Tim Brando said on that show yesterday that I had no idea about, but these college football playoff games are getting more money. They're $55 million. They're paying $55 million. ESPN is per game. In the early stage, I don't even know about the end. I'm talking about those first couple of rounds. Those are $55 million they're paying for those games. The NFL, a playoff game in the NFL, a divisional round or wild card round is like $30 million. College football is not the NFL, folks. That is not a sustainable product. They know it. We know it. This is why Disney is probably not going to own ESPN for much longer. And things are going to change. This first round of gravy train, everybody better enjoy it because I don't think it's going to stay. I don't know that it's going to stay that way.
No.
Because again, I'll tell you one thing, the prices will go down if you start eliminating schools from contention and it's only solely because of money. You will turn off the public because not everybody's an Oklahoma fan. Not everybody's a Georgia fan or an SEC fan. And when you know that, just look at the Big 12 itself. That is a league full of damn good coaches. And if the only reason that they can't win and they're not considered one of the best coaches in the country is because they're not in the SEC, that's not fair to the Big 12 or to them. Eventually they'll leave and take one of those jobs. How could Chris Kleiman stay? How could I know they want to stay where they are. I know that he and Lance Leipold and I think Whittingham's probably closer to retirement than he is to taking a job in the SEC or the Big Ten. But can you blame?
That's where it's eventually going to lead them.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the NIL stuff is there, but if you look at what we were talking about with K-State, they make $100 million in revenue off their athletics, football mainly. What they've done in basketball the past few years has certainly helped, but their expenditures are $95 million. If you're taking $20 million of that and handing it over to athletes, where are they going to come up with the other $20 million to pay their bills? Where's it come from? Private equity? That's not sustainable either. Take a look at Red Lobster.
Who?
Just like Red Lobster that Ty was talking about on that show. Yeah, exactly. Those private equity got a hold of that. They bought up all the land and raised the rent, and now Red Lobster is no longer serving shrimp. Endless shrimp is ended. It's not workable, man. It's not workable.
Wow.
The NFL ratings are in the toilet. What are you even talking about? The NFL makes more money every year, JB. Sometimes I don't understand you, and your little rant earlier from today, I didn't get it all. The NFL ratings are in the toilet. That's the most popular sport in the world. In America, for sure. It is the cash cow. What are you talking about? Silly talk. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like Chris said last week. I mean, they're not dead because there's so many of them, but they may be on an iron lung. I don't know that. I think it all. Here's the thing: you've got this straightened out to where it's not kind of. You don't have to go bankrupt and kill the sport completely now. Do you want to turn it back over to those bunch of dumbasses that put you here? I wouldn't. I mean, I think it's a completely in it's dirty, but it's an inept organization. They don't know what the freaking crap they're doing. They're certainly not there to serve the schools that they're supposed to be there for. They're not. Would you Coach, would you turn it back over? You just got where you can get it fixed. Would you trust those dumbasses in Indianapolis to do it again?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I mean, it's like turning over your program to Jimbo Fisher after what we just saw.
Oh.
Come on now. After what we just saw. Shit.
That's too funny.
Mm-hmm. World champion boxers have to beat unranked before they're champions. Strippers have to. Come on. Ryan, you're killing me, bro.
I love it.
Well, I think that the G5 kind of has to, right? I don't think that they're going to control. They're only going to control the revenue share stuff. You can't stop the NIL. It's going nowhere. It's going nowhere. Yeah. Now, whether or not, I think that the control piece will be in because of the fact that there is going to be, as far as what you're paying. Now, the question is, and I still haven't gotten a good answer on this, are they splitting that $20 million that they're handing out? Because I was under the impression it might be 50%, not 22, that landed them at this 20 million number, right? Which is an average number, not necessarily the number, it's the average, right? You make a lot more at Alabama and Texas and places like that than you make at some of these other places. Mm-hmm. But again, if it's 20 million, okay, but there's going to be a contract involved in that. You can't just freely move around. Except if you're not playing the guy and the NIL is, you can't get NIL money because I don't know that they're going to be able to take away collectives either. So I don't know how much this really changes. Again, if we were under the impression that this was to make it fair, think again.
Not necessarily, no.
Fairness has never been a part of any of this shit. And the people that tell you that it's about fairness are lying through their teeth, including Nick Saban. Don't listen to that old fart. He's not telling the truth. He doesn't give a shit about parity. He doesn't. He didn't like it that those guys were getting paid, and he had to deal with that shit when he didn't like that in the NFL. That's why he's back in college. He did not like that shit. You continuously lose money on any business deal. Would you keep doing it over and over again? No. Yeah, I think it's going to change. I think they have to do it. In Division III? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you might not be wrong. Our donor class has risen up in a huge way. It's not a problem anymore per se, but retaining Tang last month started. Yeah, no, I get that. And look, there's a clear look. I mean, I look at, it's like I said, I have nothing but respect for the way K-State does things. What I was getting at, I'm not saying that they're completely poor, but this is not a school that has a donor base like a Texas or a Notre Dame or even an Oklahoma. They're just not. We know that. And it makes it tougher. Who's JB? How is the NFL failing? Explain this to me. You got to be joking, man. You're not making sense. You got to quit drinking before you come to the show. I'm just messing with you. Don't get all butt hurt. They're not going to control anything. No, so No, they do have to. So this is the question I had. Is that 20? Is it only 10 million going to the football program and the other 10 million going to women's sports or whatever because of Title IX? I know Title IX has something to do with it. So it may be getting split there. I don't know that it's a 50-50 split. But I do know, I think that the 50-50 is if you have a men's sport, you have to have a women's sport too. You have to have the same number of sports. Now, with revenue versus non-revenue, I don't know. I don't know how that all works. I'm not going to act like I do know. But that's the question. I'm not sure where you are on it, right? The boss is right when he wore that National Communist Against Athlete shirt. Yeah. He kind of was. He kind of was. Maurice Osborne, what's up, man? Good to see you in here. Appreciate it.
Maurice.
Carlin, it's, what do you say? It's make me miss George Carlin. Oh, yes. He would tell it like it was. George Carlin was the man. I saw him one time in Vegas. That was awesome. He'd tell it like it was. Well, I don't know that. I think that the guys that are the power of the sport right now that seem to know what they're doing, I think that guys like Greg Sankey, Brett Yormark, Tony Petitti that understand the media landscape, those are guys that get it. And because you sold your soul to these television networks already, you're not getting them back. So you need guys, somebody that's in charge of it that knows how to get the most out of that and work with those guys to get the best deals. But I think you got to find somewhere. There has to be some kind of equity. I'm not saying it's ever going to be fair. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying because it ain't. But there has to be, if you make it to where all these 130 teams cannot continue to compete, there's a number that you stop. If you cut off 30 of them is one thing. If you cut off more than that, you're probably killing the sport. And there's a line that you can't cross. These guys know a lot more than we do about that. So what I can tell from what I'm hearing from those guys, that's not exactly what they want to do. I know people want to just villainize them. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but I would tell you that I don't think that that's what those guys want to do. Ryan, be nice. We've been talking about strippers all damn day. Earlier in the show, whenever I had it, he's been talking. You've been on this all day. Have you been at the strip club all day today, Ryan?
Or he wants to go really bad.
He's been tossing dollars, man. Tossing dollars. Having watered down drinks.
Looking at Rob's statement right here, though. I somewhat agree with it to an extent, but you also have to have one thing that I don't think that we have in the NCAA people is it seems as you don't have a good business acumen in there. That those people don't understand business models and what you need to do to make, because it's a business, and we got to grow the business, and I don't see that they're doing that. And I'm going to say this: just because you've played the sport or coached the sport doesn't necessarily make you a person that can run the NCAA or an organization such as that. It's you got to have a little crossbreeding of both of those. You got to have that good
athletic directors and shit like that have come through that. Those are not the guys for that anymore. That was clear. No. That was clear with at the end of the Big 12 was mismanaged for a very long time. If not for Brett Yormark, it's the Big 12 that's dead, not the Pac.
Right.
The Kliavkoff was a freaking disaster. Yeah. But it was even everything that dickhead did wrong. If it was not for the fact that he did all those stupid things wrong, even Yormark wasn't going to save them from what the last two commissioners at the Big 12 did. It was a shit show.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Bob Bowlesby biting the hand that feeds you at the end on the way out, screaming and talking about cease and desist to ESPN when you can think what you want. ESPN didn't have nothing to do with that. Now, ESPN certainly had something to do with the Longhorn Network. I'll give you that one. But guess what? The commissioner before that knew all about it. He that was his fault. Bowlesby was I know people love to take up for Bob Bowlesby. The guy was well past his prime. Way past his prime. When he did, even after the fiasco that kept Baylor and TCU out of the playoff because they tied, they shared the Big 12 championship instead of playing a game. So neither one of them went to the playoff, and they still didn't add and get back to 12 teams. What are you doing? If not for Kliavkoff being the biggest dummy in the world, the Big 12 is toast right now. That's just a fact. And that's with Phillips being the biggest dope in the world too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it took a long time for the Pac-12 to finally die. And they still probably wouldn't have. If all they had to do when Oklahoma and Texas decided to leave, all they had to do was go grab up Tech and K-State and Kansas and Oklahoma State. And it's all over. Yeah. And Kliavkoff and the presidents of the Pac-12 balked at it, said they weren't good enough for their conference. So they don't have a conference anymore. What a deal.
A done deal, you would say.
What a deal. Dumb shits. Yeah. Well, it's not the same. I agree with that. It's not the same. But you can't sit here and tell me that the NFL isn't run very well. It's not perfect. But they do things for the interest of their there's a reason that all 32 franchises are among the richest sports franchises in the entire world. Every one of them are in the top 50. Every one of them. Even the, quote, poor ones are in the top 50 in the world. We're talking about soccer programs all over the freaking world, like Liverpool and Man U and all these, that are multi rich, very rich. And the NFL's teams are as rich or more. I don't know that any of them are over like Real Madrid and some of them, but man, don't get it twisted. All right, guys. Yeah, we are going to probably get out of here as well. Thanks for coming in, Rob. We appreciate you. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I would just say that it is the Wild Wild West. But again, with Bowlesby, no, that's not necessarily but see, John, that's what he lashed out at ESPN for him not doing his job. Who's the old Oklahoma president or whoever it was that vetted out Cincinnati and BYU and UCF and Houston and had them ready to go, and then they didn't add them? I forget the guy's name that was at Oklahoma. It was just, it was 5, 6, 7 years ago, whatever it was, 10 years ago now. It could have happened then. The work was done. So much so that as soon as Oklahoma and Texas left, they needed but to pull the trigger. Because the work was already done. He just waited until it was already too late.
Too late.
Silly shit, man.
Yep.
I'm not saying that they're ever going to be the same as the NFL. But you have to You need to find the things that work there and can work in the in college football and make it work like that.
And
it's never going to be the same. It's never going to be the same. And I don't think that you could do like a full-on salary cap, because with the NIL and all that being a part of it, it's never going to work. I don't see that really happening. See you, Timothy. Appreciate you, bud. The monster will never be controlled. Yeah, I think at some point you have to realize that this is never. You're never going to turn it into. No, I'm not saying it's going to be the NFL, but there's certain things that they could adopt from the NFL that would help them. And there's smart people in the room. Maybe not at the NCAA, but there are smart people around there that know what's going on. Yeah. Hey, I'll tell you this. Brett Yormark ain't stupid. Brett Yormark, I mean, he ran circles around Klyavkov in the pack. No doubt. He has built brands left and right. He knows what he's doing, and he will. I think that believe me, I don't think that either one, Petiti or Sankey, want Yormark to not be around them and helping them, get their goals done. It's just not going to be that way. All right, guys. Okay. We've been going for almost 2 hours here. I went for almost 3 earlier today too. So we've been going for a good little while. I got to get to work and do this other job. So I appreciate everybody coming in here. Hope you guys are enjoying the content. Thank you guys. Look, for everything that all the kind words that, guys like Timothy, all you guys are great. We appreciate everybody that comes in and supports the show.
Absolutely.
Listens to us. I mean, with their opinions, I mean, we definitely try to educate ourselves on what's going on so that we can give you the best information possible. But we couldn't do this without you guys, period, point blank. No,
absolutely. We got a great group of guys and ladies that come in here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, it's what makes you you always do rhyming. We wouldn't be doing this without you guys, though, man. You make it fun. You're fun to talk to. I love it when you have opinions that are different. I mean, and I get it. We're very opinionated. We know that, and I can get a little off track when it comes to somebody.
You're opinionated. I'm not. I just don't give a shit.
And there it is.
Hey, I have to give a shout out to my Fighting Irish of Notre Dame for winning back-to-back national titles in lacrosse. So I wish we could match that in football.
Yeah, listen. And I think winning back-to-back championships in this playoff era is going to be something else. And we'll talk about that obviously more later. Look, guys, we are now down to, what is it? 94 days? 96. I don't know. I'm going to have to check.
Somewhere in there. We're in the 90s, low 90s. Yeah.
Folks, we're getting closer. We will know a little, as I said earlier, we're going to know some more about SEC Media Days coming up. Definitely got some things on plans for how we're going to kind of cover some of this stuff with, looking forward to Coach I's Saturday night snap count, of course. That's coming up pretty soon. Make sure you guys are subscribed to this Fanatic Sports Network so that you know when all those pop up. We'll obviously be putting that stuff out for whenever we appear on the show as well. But we're going to be regulars on it again. Chris and I doing the post games for Oklahoma, I believe is still a go. But we've got some other stuff that we're looking forward to doing, Coach and I as well. And hey, my thought is that I love it that Oklahoma's playing on Friday of the first week, because the next day is College Station and Notre Dame. I think we should maybe make it to both of those games. Coach, what do you think?
Be a hell of a time to do it.
It would be. Game day will be in College Station for that one. Be a lot of fun.
Yep.
A lot of fun. Coach's Corner, a.k.a. the shit show. This is what it is, Inkster. We appreciate it. Timothy, thanks a lot.
It, Hank.
And man, we appreciate everything that you guys do. And always supporting us, man. Always, for sure. When are we going to start seeing Hall of Fame girls? They can sit behind Coach. You'll have to ask Christy about that, Coach.
I'll get you fixed up. I might even put a strip pole back here, and we can have some strippers too.
Christy, for the record, I have nothing to do with this. I'm going to clip that and send it to her so that I have nothing to do with this. She'll kick Coach's ass. I promise you she'll kick me. No. Not getting me in that crosshairs. No, thank you. No. Guys, love you guys. But thanks, Neil, man. I appreciate that. That's funny stuff. Always good. See John, Hankster, Timothy Green, Maurice Osborne, welcome in today. Appreciate you a lot. Obviously, Shoddy, man, you're our guy. Ryman Lemon. Who else we got? I don't want to miss nobody. We had Bishop Frank in here, Rob 077, Steve B, the other Steve B, Jimmy Satterfield, JB, crazy ass JB, Stank ass Cat, our boy Stank ass Cat, Mars Jams 2, and then Mars Jams 1. There's 2 Mars Jams? You're kidding me.
No.
That's awesome, dude. Who else? I don't want to miss anybody. Let's make sure. Dakota Green, don't want to miss Dakota. Neilio, Dakota, they both, yeah, absolutely, man. We appreciate all of that stuff. Let's see. Satterfield, Jimmy Satterfield. I think we may have it here. Obviously, Hankster, Sooner Cowboys. Yeah, I don't want to miss Sooner. The guy that kidnapped Sooner Cowboys. I'm still pretty sure that's what's going on there. Kyle DePuis, appreciate you being in here. Brian Sandlin, hope you're safe on the road. Did you make it back? Let us know in the comments whenever you see this. Who else? That's it. Looks like that's it. Mars Jams 1 and 2. Holy shit. Thank you guys all. Thanks everybody for coming in. If I missed anybody, I apologize. I tried to get everybody. So I think I did. Yep. All right, guys. Thanks a lot for coming in. See you on the next one.
Y'all have a good night.
Orange down.